Yeah, I was 2.5 years when my mother was in the Olympic Games. Her golden medal she was keeping in an empty shoebox under the roof in the house because she didn't show them at all.
And so to the final itself, with Great Britain, Canada, Australia, Holland, and Jamaica. They're away, and in slow motion, Blankers-Koen moves into the lead. On the left, Dorothy Manley challenges strongly, and third from the right, Strickland comes up with grim determination. Once more, it's a photo finish, but there's no doubt about the winner, Blankers-Koen of Holland in 11.9 seconds. Dorothy Manley of Great Britain was runner-up, and Shirley Strickland of Australia third.
Kees Koolman. Olympische Spelen in 1948 waren nog veel belangrijker dan voor atleten, in ieder geval dan de Olympische Spelen anno 2016. Omdat er geen wereldkampioenschappen waren. En bovendien was de sport uiteraard, had in de schaduw gestaan vele jaren van de Tweede Wereldoorlog. Veel mensen zijn wel blijven sporten in die periode, voor zover dat mogelijk was. Vrouwen was sowieso, vrouwensport werd eigenlijk heel raar gevonden en werd ook in die tijd, in die jaren nog gezegd dat is gevaarlijk en je kan dan geen gevaarlijk voor om kinderen te krijgen. En er waren allerlei idiote verhalen over vrouwen. Er waren allerlei vooroordelen over leeftijd bijvoorbeeld ook. Haar man speelt een hele belangrijke rol in het hele succesverhaal van Fanny Blankers. Haar man was haar trainer ook, Jan Blankers. En dus ook de vader en ook de man van de 2 kinderen die ze toen al hadden.
Met Fanny? Yes, this is Fanny Blankers. My father had to support her to keep her alive. Because she felt every little pain and she didn't feel well and he always had to support her to say, come on, you can do it and things like that.
Each morning I wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock and then I was so nervous here. And then I took my breakfast first and then after half an hour I went to the WC and I spoke everything out. And later on, the story was, he asked me, have you had your breakfast? Yes. Have you been to the WC? Now you have a chance to win another golden medal.
Over leeftijd bijvoorbeeld ook. Nou, Fanny die moest dus onder andere lopen tegen Dorothy Manley. Een Britse talent, de Australische, dat waren Dorothy Manley en Shirley Strickland. Uit Australië waren haar voornaamste.
3048. I was terribly nervous on the day of the final. And when I was called up into the tunnel where we had to wait to come onto the track, I always say to people, if I could have run away, I would have done. I was so nervous because I'd never competed in anything of that size before. It was my first international race. My mother made my top and my trousers, yes. She had to be careful not to make the shorts go more than 4 inches above the knee. We weren't allowed to had to measure them. I managed to get a wonderful start. Now, I was a notoriously bad starter, and on this occasion, I was quite the reverse. I'd got a wonderful start. As I ran up the track, I had a slight turn of my head, very, very little turn. Why I did it, I shall never know. But it even shows up on a film of the race that I did do it to prove it. It's another one of those instinctive things. I was in the lane nearest to the crowd, lane number 6, which to me was very disappointing because I would have loved to have been in the centre. I suppose that's why I instinctively turned my head to that direction. Otherwise, I just ran and got to the tape and found out that I got second, which to me was absolutely wonderful because I hadn't dreamed I would do anything like that.
The semi-final, I was running and doing well but I was running fast. And the other was still a little bit slowly, and I was always afraid for my concurrents. And then we had the final, and I did not think that I could win it, but the people around me, they said, you can win the 100 meters. I said, no, because the girls had not done their best, and now they will do the best. And I had a good start, and I was running about 25 meters, 30 meters, and then I thought, I can win the 100 meters, and I was so happy.
Zij was de enige vrouw die onder de 12 seconden liep op de 100 meter. Ze had echt een hele mooie, een gazelle, een hele fraaie stijl. Ze won het goud won ze op de 100 meter in 11.9. Vervolgens de 80 meter horde in 11.2. De 200 meter won ze in stromende regen in 24.6. En de estafette, daarop moesten ze een achterstand goed maken en wonnen ze ook weer op vlak voor de finish. Fanny werd in 1948, nadat ze 4 keer goud had gewonnen, werd ze ook een soort, hoe zeg ik dat in goed Nederlands, een soort uithangbord voor de vrouwensport. Van kijk, een moeder met 2 kinderen, die kan ook viervoudig Olympisch kampioene worden. En daarom heeft zij een enorme invloed en is zij zeer belangrijk geweest. Veel belangrijker dan ze zelf ooit heeft verondersteld. Voor de emancipatie. Voor de emancipatie van moeder en de vrouw in de sport.
When she had a competition, she took me with her, and I had to play in the sand where the long jump or the high jump was. She was always trying to win. It didn't make her always a pleasant person, because to win was the most important thing in life. She was always competing.